Hi everybody, this is David Damien Figueroa with David Damien Live. And I want to thank you, all the viewers, because we've had a reach of 42,000 viewers from countries like Costa Rica, France, Mexico, Australia, Sweden, and of course, viewers all over the United States. But wanted to thank you so much for the support you've shown us. And when you have that, when you're getting that kind of viewership, you want to be able to there's a responsibility that comes with that. And so what, I want to read you guys a quote. It's, and it goes like this. It's a universal law. Intolerance is the first sign of an inadequate education. An ill-educated person behaves with ignorance, arrogance, impatient, whereas a truly profound education breeds humility. And that's by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And I just love that quote because, there should be, especially right now, there's so much that we need to do to express tolerance because there's so much hate against Latinos, against African Americans, against so many folks. But today, I wanted to talk about the transgender community and how transgender folks are part of our community. They're part of our families. They're our friends. And so I wanted to read you this. Is transgender people, particularly transgender women of color, face shockingly high rates of murder, homelessness, and incarceration. Most states and countries offer no legal protections in housing, employment, healthcare, and other areas where individuals experience discrimination based on their gender identity or expression. And many of my my family, my dear friends, and many of you probably already guessed or you don't know, but I'm part of the LGBT community. I'm very, very proud of that LGBTQ community. Very proud of that. But please help me welcome my guest today. This is Bamby Salcedo, my dear friend, who is a mega activist in our country. And I'm going to read you a few things about you, so just hang tight, okay? You can look at me while I'm doing it.
Of course.
Yeah,
I look at everybody in the audience.
So tell us your tagline real quick, your Twitter handle.
Well, people can definitely follow on at Trans Latin Bamby. So that is at Trans Latin Bamby.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So if you have any questions, you can also you have your phone there because we're going to go live and you can ask questions for Bamby. Let me see. I think there's some folks already asking questions. Let's see who signed on already. I don't have my glasses on.
James.
Hi, Jimmy. So Bamby is one of the most respected activists in our country, as I just mentioned. Bamby Salcedo is the founder of the Los Angeles-based Trans Latina Coalition. Trans Latina is an organization formed by trans Latina immigrant leaders who have come together in 2009 to organize and advocate for the needs of trans Latinas who are immigrants and reside in the United States of America. In 2014, the documentary Transvisible, the Bamby Salcedo story, was released. And let me tell you, if you get a chance to watch this, it is so enlightening because Bamby has one of the most incredible stories, perseverance and triumph and achievement based on where you come from and where you are now. It's just truly an American dream. It really is. Also that year, in 2014, Color Lines recognized Salcedo, Bamby, as one of 14 women of color who rocked 2014. She was also honored that year at Lambda Legal's West Coast Liberty Awards for her work in Angels of Change, which is an organization that provides healthcare services for trans youth. And in 2015, God, I'm getting tired reading all your credits, girl, shoot. But let's do it. It's proper. We have to give you props. In 2015, Salcedo organized a demonstration of over 100 transgender activists who disrupted the opening session of the National LGBT Task Force. I know that was controversial. There was their annual conference to protest against the violence against transgender people. This demonstration came after the deaths of several transgender people in Los Angeles, and I remember that very clearly. Those deaths were publicized by demonstrations organized by Bamby and the Trans Latina Coalition. In 2015, Out magazine recognized Bamby as one of their Out 100 Pioneers of the Year. Hey, that's amazing. And you got started as being a health education and HIV prevention service coordinator at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. So let's give a toast to all that work. I'm already
Yes,
I'm tired.
toast it.
I'm tired reading all that.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers to all the audience out there.
Mm-hmm.
Salud a todos y a todas.
There you go. But before we get started, Bamby, we were talking before, and you mentioned that, I just didn't want to get too personal, because if you watch the documentary, it's very, very, very personal, your life, and a lot of trauma, and a lot of just trials and tribulations. So, do you want to give us a little bit about your background so the audience can have a better understanding of all of the bridges and hurdles and obstacles and discrimination and everything that you went through just to get you where you are today?
Of course.
And how that formed your activism there?
Yeah, well, primero que nada, quiero darle saludos a toda la gente que nos está viendo. So I just want to give a shout out to all the viewers and everybody who's tuning in. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. David, David Damien, I always say that I am a miracle. And I say that because, I'm here today, right? And, the experiences that I experienced when I was growing up and when I was young, when I transitioned at 19 years old, are the same experiences that young people are experiencing today. Mm-hmm. And so, I am very privileged that I get to be who I am, right? Right now I am the president and the CEO of the Trans Latinx Coalition.
Boom.
Yes. But my definition of a CEO, my own definition, mm-hmm. right? I am a community elevated officer.
Wow, that's deep. That's a good
one. And so, because the community, right, such as yourself and many other members of the community, have uplifted me to be who I am today. And so, my experience, having been in, living in the streets, drugs, prison, immigration detention centers, overdoses, being chased out of neighborhoods, being beaten up simply for who I am, right? And so I'm here today, and I am a miracle. And so, unfortunately, it's our reality. Mm-hmm. It's the reality that we as trans women, specifically trans women of color, experience, right? The continuous violence from not only members of our society, but also the institutional violence that we continue mm-hmm. to experience, right? You mentioned, in many countries we don't have laws of protection, right? In this country, we don't have, laws that really protect us. Even though here in California, we're very lucky to live in a state that has the most inclusive right. trans laws.
But there's a lot more room to grow.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot to do. And so, and again, I, as someone who came from Mexico at 17 years old, who came here as many members of our, from many of our people mm-hmm. come here, I'm very lucky that I'm able to be sitting here with you. And so thank you so much for thinking of me and inviting me to...
Well, it's an honor to have you here. It really is, because you know how much I respect you. You know that. So, one of the things I want to be able to do is explain to folks, well, not explain to folks, but for folks, for myself and whoever's watching, to learn, what is transgender? What is the meaning of transgender? So my first question is, how is sexual orientation different from gender identity?
Yeah, so I think that's one of the misconceptions, right? Or one of the things that, society as a whole always confuses, right? From some time on, we have been sort of like our genitals have been mixed with who we are, and so
Right.
we have been pathologized, you know, for a long time, right? But the truth of the matter is that sexual orientation is really who you are attracted to, right? Basically who you go to bed with,
Okay.
right? And gender identity is your appearance, how you portrayed or show yourself to the world. And so that's really the difference, right? Like, for instance, you know, there may be trans women such as myself, right? My sexual orientation, I identified as a heterosexual trans woman, right? Meaning that I like men, right? So whatever we do in bed, that's separate from how I identify.
I think the one thing about sexual orientation and transgender is that, you know, I mean, it's just to respect, as long as, you know, I just think that, you know, just to respect who people are. And, you know, I think one of the things is that really, you know, I guess bothers me is that a lot of folks are so hung up on, you know, on the whole sex part of it. And, you know, and they really don't look at, you know, folks who are, are just simply human beings that happen to be, and, you know, we're in a society that labels people. Well, I mean, we just stuck on labeling people. And so, anyway, so my next, I'm sorry, do you want to?
Well, I mean, I think that really is because of those are social constructs, right? So it really is, you know, that our society has sort of like dictated, right? Like if you're born with a certain part, then you're this, right? And in other words, like if you have a penis, then you're male, right? And if you have a vagina, then you're a woman, right? Or female. And so, you know, we have to understand that there's a broad range in between those, right? And so, you know, my womanhood, my genitals does not define, you know, who I am as a woman. And, you know, and I'm really happy to say that there are some folks in some institutions that are actually capturing that, right? And like an example of that is that, you know, I have been honored by LA Magazine, right?
Right.
As one of the 9 women who are doing great things here in Los Angeles.
I know that. Hey.
Right? And so just to, you know, to be acknowledged as the woman that I am, right? By, you know, and be put together with a group of women, right? Like that says a lot about the institution and also about the individuals, right?
But also the other thing too, Bambi, is that you deserve it. You deserve it for the work that you've done and the bravery and the courage that you have demonstrated, and it's the way you've inspired so many other transgender youth, you know, because they're watching you. They're looking for inspiration,
and they're watching. What's up, everybody?
But you know, you've been that for them, and I think that, you know, it's just you know, the other thing I didn't put this as part of my questions, but you know, this seems to be like the last year and this year has been really, really like the year that media has really gotten behind, especially in Hollywood and in a lot of the news magazine stories have really done a lot of exposés on transgender folks. So how do you feel about that? And I want to ask, what do you feel about Caitlyn Jenner?
Okay, let's go first with the first. Let's go with the first one first.
Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner's that's a loaded question, right?
But you know, it's okay. But I do want to say that yes, you know, right now, trans is a hot topic.
Yes.
Right?
Which is good.
Right, it's great. I think we are in a pivotal moment to where, you know, a lot of stuff is happening for our community, specifically in the media. But I also want to say, you know, like, even though we're visible, right, the social issues that we continue to experience and continue to do, that we need to do to change the landscape of our community, it's a lot that needs to be done, right?
Of
like,
course.
just being visible, and I am very privileged that I get to be visible, right? Like, I get to do many things. I get, you know, obviously...
You're constantly traveling, I know that
right,
for sure.
and I'm in the media and all of these things.
Right.
I'm privileged in that sense. But there are many members of our community who do not have that opportunity, and who, are sleeping on the streets tonight as
I
we
know.
speak.
It's horrible.
Right.
Sure.
And so, even though there's strives, there's still a lot that needs to be done.
Yep. The location where we're filming today is actually my home. I don't know if I've ever told anybody that, but it's my home. It's a loft, and it's in downtown Los Angeles. If you walk 2.5, 3 blocks,
Just around the corner.
yeah, if you walk 2.5, 3 blocks, I would say east, is Skid Row. And has one of the largest populations in the United States of homeless folks. A lot of those folks are transgender. If you walk the opposite way, 3 blocks, you'll see 5-star restaurants and a lot of, Staples Center and all these really huge buildings. But it's so a dichotomy of one world and the other world, and we're like right in the middle. So it's kind of, it's just kind of strange that we're talking about that here and in a place and where it actually happens, the homelessness.
And those are the realities that we live and that we see, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
And I've seen a lot of just a lot of things in the streets here. Just by it's very sad and very, very
And
sad.
so I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of policy work with the Trans Latinx Coalition, and you go to Sacramento, DC, and all. Tell us about what your organization is doing to help promote and to get laws passed that help the transgender community in terms of housing and discrimination and hiring and those kinds of things.
Yeah. So I'm very lucky that I get to lead the Trans Latinx Coalition. Since we started in 2009, the bulk of our work has been really, like you mentioned, right, like policy and advocacy and that kind of stuff, disrupting the norm. But last year in 2015, we came together and we did a strategic plan, we decided that in order for us to empower a community, that we needed to move into also do service provision. And so since then, I started on the task of developing the Center for Violence Prevention and Transgender Wellness, and I'm happy to report that we got our first grant to do service provision from the Elton John Foundation.
Oh my! That's pretty major.
In January, and so we have been providing emergency supportive services to trans people who are getting released from immigration detention centers. So we provide them with rental assistance, we provide them with food vouchers and transportation vouchers. We have a case manager that works with them individually and links them into other services.
Okay, well, let's give a toast to Elton John.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think he's watching, but hey, Elton John.
And to John Foundation, yes.
And to all of you.
To all of you as well.
And so here's the other thing. So, but you didn't answer my question about Caitlyn Jenner.
I will. I will.
You gotta answer
But let me tell you really quick.
Okay,
so we got that program, and then we also got, in June of this year, we also got a grant from our California Workforce Development Board.
Wow.
In collaboration with...
Those are difficult. I worked in nonprofit all my life. This is the first time this past year is the first year in my whole life that I've never worked nonprofit. But I can really tell you that it's very difficult to get those kinds of grants. You have to be an organization that's really got your stuff together, because they put you through major scrutiny in order to get those types of grants.
Yeah. And so, we're very lucky that, they see and that there's a need, obviously, and that we are being innovative, right?
Yeah.
And so we got this grant from the California Workforce Development Board to, in partnership with a friend of mine, her name is Micaela Mendelson, who is a trans woman who has a chain of restaurants, and so she's connected to the California Restaurant Association. And so what we're doing is that we're training restaurant owners and managers, and we're also going to be placing trans people working at these restaurants.
Okay.
So we're bringing awareness, and we're obviously educating people. And so we're gonna place 100 trans people across the state in
wow.
California.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, and so
Hey,
yes,
that's
a
cool.
toast to that.
Yeah.
Yes. Another toast. Yeah.
Golly, that's amazing.
Yay.
Yeah. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Mm-mm. And so I think, to my knowledge, I know that there are other organizations that are trans-led, but they're
Is it trans-led? What does that mean?
the leadership.
Oh,
of
trans-led. Okay,
yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah,
Okay.
the leadership of the
Yeah.
organizations are trans. There are people who are trans and who are leading organizations like advocacy organizations
Right.
specifically, or service provision organizations specifically. But we are the first that we're doing both.
Wow.
We're doing advocacy and service provision. And our vision really is to empower the community, the trans community as a whole. We are going to be an organization that provides services, but also leadership and economic development to our community. So we're going to bring the community to another level. Now, I can answer your question. If
Well,
you want.
let's answer it after this. We have to go to Facebook because there's a lot of. Let me see.
Oh, let's see.
I gotta put my glass. I had really bad allergies today, so I couldn't put my contacts on. But there's a JM Longoria.
Congratulations, Bamby. Thank you for the work that you do in the community. Oh, thank you,
Hi,
JM.
JM is from the actor from Miracles from Heaven. Thank you for joining. And we also have Brenda Mullen from
Yes.
Nebraska, Sherry Eaton from Dana Point, Noni Cruz from Tucson, Arizona just joined. And can you go on your live feed to see? Because I think that I don't know how to scroll down on that. I'm an amateur at this. Can you do the live feed?
Okay. Okay, I'm in your page, but I don't know.
Okay.
What am I doing?
Well, it's supposed to show live. I don't know. So let's just keep going.
But we're live, so
Yeah.
we'll definitely respond to your questions.
Somebody said,
and
let's see,
everything.
does this go down like that? Give me a second, folks. Does this go down? Oh, it does go down. Yeah. Oh my God, there's a lot of questions. Give me a second, folks. Let me see. Melissa from New Mexico, Yolanda Chacon. She's with the she's from the Dolores Huerta Foundation. Okay, thank you guys. I'm sorry about that. Sorry with my big old mug against the camera there. But but hey, also, the Obama administration, they invited you to come to the White House and to visit and to talk about transgender issues. And I want to know what you did in D.C. And I want to know about, because they have is it called a gender-neutral bathroom or a
It's a gender
educate
neutral
me.
bathroom. Yeah, a gender neutral bathroom.
At the
It's
White
really-
House
Yeah,
in 2016. Oh my God, that's pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, actually, they had it last year.
Did you use it?
I went in, just to see, just to say I went into the bathroom.
That's great.
Yeah, but I think it is remarkable, right? That I think obviously, to create changes, we need to be the example, right? And so the fact that the White House does have a gender-neutral bathroom, it sends a message, a positive message to our society, right? So people just need to get with it and adopt their ideologies to a different scope.
So let me ask you a question. This might be a little bit sensitive, but I've actually been to the White House several times, and each time they do a background check. They do a background check. They want your social security number. They do they run your, I don't know what they do, but they come back later and say you're good to go, right?
Right.
So you mentioned that you were in prison at one point.
Yeah.
So did that become an obstacle for you getting in, or?
Yes, at first.
Yeah.
Several years ago, actually, they invited me to be at a panel inside the White House, and everything was ready for me to go in. So I sent my information and everything. I had my plane ticket and everything. And then the day before,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, they sent me an email saying that the Secret Service did not let me go in. And of course, the Secret Service, they only look at the paper trail, right?
Right.
They don't really, they didn't see who Bamby Salcedo was or anything like that. So I had to do, along with other folks, obviously, that support my work and that obviously that know people, right? We advocated, for myself, right? And also because of the importance, right? For me to go in. And so, over time, when I was invited, then, there were, yes, okay, we get it, right? Like, we get it.
Yeah.
That was you before, this is you now.
Well, that's the Obama administration, I would say.
Right.
Yeah, it's
right,
just administration because if you have a president that's tolerant and you have people that work for you that are tolerant or supporting you in part of your administration, the thing is that they're going to be more flexible and understanding and more compassionate of a person, who has had, what they call a colored background, and then, has done all these achievements like you've done, and that's great.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'm a prime example of that, right? Yes, I think, when we understand that, yes, we are put in certain circumstances because of the society that we live in, right? And most importantly, because we have to survive, right? Like, the things that I did in my past were really because I was in survival mode, right? It's not because I am a bad person or anything like that. It's because, I needed to survive. And doing sex work and, using drugs and being involved in the street economy was my survival at that time. But, I was also given the opportunity to turn my life around, and now I'm doing other things.
Right. And I went to the Guadalajara Film Festival and I met Jules Stewart. Jules Stewart, Kristen Stewart's mom. Kristen Stewart's from Twilight.
We went to her house.
Yeah, and I invited you to come.
Yes.
She set up like a film screening. It's K-19 or what's it?
K11.
K11, and it's basically, you can tell it's a certain ward of the LA County Jail where you can tell the rest.
Yeah. So that unit, if you will, here in the Los Angeles County Jail is now called K6G. But in the past was called K11, and it is a gay unit, but they also put trans women in these dorms.
Yeah.
So that's how, I mean, the movie really is about the experience of someone in there. It's, it's a script.
It's based around the character Mousy, who actually who's a real person.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she was one of the people that I used to run with.
Yeah. So Bamby.
Run around with.
Well, I was like, Bamby, I just met, Jules Stewart at the Guadalajara Film Festival, and she's going to set up a screening in her studio for us, and then you show up and he goes, oh yeah, you're like, it kind of made sense to you because you had.
Well, I actually
consulted on the film.
Yeah, I consulted with Kay del Castillo, who did the role of the Mousy.
She was great in that.
Yeah,
huh?
I consulted with her. I went to her house. We hang out for.
Yeah, Kay del Castillo was friends with Chapo or something like that. I think. But anyway, I'm joking. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, so that's how. So I was involved with that movie and with her. And so, I mean, it's just a unit, that they have here. Of course, in not the best conditions, right? We don't want for our people to be incarcerated, but unfortunately, that's what happens when we get criminalized simply for who we are.
We're like winding down. We're almost so. We do something that's called rapid fire here on Live with David Damien.
Okay.
And so what I do is I ask you a bunch of questions, and you have to answer like real quick.
Okay.
You can think about it. You're like boom, 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 boom. Okay. So here we go. When were you the happiest?
That's hard. I know, that's hard.
When were you the happiest?
There have been many moments, but just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Oregon, and I was by myself with nature and with my higher power, and I was at a hot spring,
you posted that on Facebook.
Yeah,
I saw it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I was the happiest there.
But if you could speak...
One of the happiest times.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I agree with that.
There have been many moments.
If you could speak to God, what would you ask him?
I would ask God, my higher power, to for people to just open their minds and their heart and to see trans people as who we are.
Good. So what is your greatest fear?
My greatest fear. I
don't think
I
you're
don't,
afraid
I
of
don't
anything.
know. Yeah, like I skydive. I don't. No.
You fight?
Yeah. I like, no.
Which living person do you most admire and why?
Oh man. Why do you ask me like this question? There's not one single person, like I said, I would say, if I would say one, it would say, my community.
Okay. And what is your most treasured possession?
Oh man. I guess the fact that I have life today, that I'm alive today,
That's a good one.
you know.
Yeah. And what is your greatest accomplishment? Her greatest accomplishment?
There's not one single one though.
Well, name one of them.
I guess the most recent one.
Survival?
I graduated from college. The very first.
I know. And every time I
And I just started my master's program. So.
all right. Okay, here we go again.
Boom.
Boom.
Yay.
Yeah, every time I reach out to Bamby, she's like, I'm in class. Or I would text her, she goes, I'm in a meeting. Yeah, she's constantly just you're
I'm on
always
the
busy.
road.
You're on the
I'm
road.
on the road.
You're not.
Soy una venaditas.
It's funny. So we're gonna close out now. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun.
I know.
So what? Not only so much fun, but it's been educational.
I
Because,
talk a lot, huh?
No, I'm the one that's talking all like that. So anyway, so tell us your social media handles. You have a set of social media handles that are for Bamby Salcedo, and then you have Trans Latinx Coalition. So let's do Bamby Salcedo.
So people, I would encourage for people to check out my website. It was just updated. It looks amazing. So just go to bambysalcedo.com, and that is BAMBYSALCEDO .com. And my Instagram, LABAMBY, La Bambi, and Snapchat, Bamby Salcedo, and Twitter @Trans Latinx Bamby. So
Wow.
check it out, and of course Facebook, Bamby Salcedo.
And then the Trans Latinx Coalition.
The Trans Latinx Coalition handle is at Trans Latin _C, and that's our Twitter, and of course Facebook, Trans Latinx Coalition.
And what's the website?
It's the translatinxcoalition.org.
.org. Okay.
Mhm.
.org.
Yes.
And this is a T-shirt that you can get. It says "Yo soy." So Bambi brought this shirt to me, and it's like this is like a baby shirt.
No.
This is like a child. And this is a
It's a
this
cute
is a women's
it's
shirt.
a cute shirt.
So I actually put it on. I was like, oh no, Bambi, I can't do this. I was like, do you think I should cut it in the back and then put it on? But these cost $10. This is how you can support the Trans Latinx Coalition. And also, you have an event coming up. Oh my gosh, you have garras.
Garras.
Okay, what garras means? What? Rags.
Well, yeah, garras means,
But what's the acronym?
Yeah, the acronym is Groundbreaking Activism, Redirecting and Reforming All Systems.
Okay, so what goes on there, and what are you raising money for?
Yeah, so that is our annual fundraiser. So we give an opportunity to trans people to showcase themselves as high fashion models, and we're having our event on November 5th of this year. So if you're in LA and if you're around, please come and support our event.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And so also, I wanted to ask you this. So in the actual documentary, I went with my friend James Skurlock to go see the documentary. Went to I think it was the premiere,
Mm-hmm.
and he said they don't answer why they call you. They don't touch upon the idea or whatever that how you got your name Bambi.
Well, when I was younger and in Mexico, I used to play soccer, and I was really, I used to run fast a lot, and so, they would say, que corría como venado,
She's ran like a deer.
Like a deer, and so then, from then I associated, the venado. I thought Bambi was a girl at the time, so. then, Bambi came about. And the only difference is that my name is with a Y.
Right.
So Bambi the Deer is with an I, and my name is with a Y.
You need to trademark that, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kylie, we're out of time. Oh my gosh, I think my phone's gonna go out of juice here soon. So,
Yeah.
So, folks, Bambi, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you
So much.
Another toast.
One more.
Yeah.
But hey, folks, we have this weekend, on Labor Day weekend, we have a lot of dear, dear friends that are coming up. J.M. Longoria from Miracles from Heaven. That was a great, great movie. Keisha Whitaker, she's actor, producer, TV host, model, columnist, and commissioner. And she's a mom. Oh my God, I'm tired. And she's also, Forrest Whitaker is her husband. She's going to be here to talk a little bit to us about her life. David Calhoun, who is a Hollywood celebrity hairstylist and a good living expert. And we have Katie Waters. She's one of the top selling independent artists in America. And then we have Gabriel Reyes, who's going to talk to us about his life as a publicist and entertainment. And I think one of the things we're also going to try to talk with Gabriel about is how do you make it in Hollywood? How do you get into Hollywood? And what do you need to do to prepare?
I need to talk to Gabriel.
Oh, you need to talk to
Yeah,
him. You need a publicist, huh?
No, I need to talk
I know,
to him,
he's so
actually.
famous.
Yeah.
And so, folks, we're gonna sign out now. Thank you so much for watching. And we always sign out by saying a dream without an action plan is
It's
only a dream. It's only a dream. Yeah. So here we go. Toast to that.
Let's
We're
live.
gonna toast that again. And thank you so much for watching Live with David Damon with the one and only Bamby Salcedo. Thank you.
Gracias.
God bless
Thank
you. I
you.
love you.
Well, I love you
Yeah.
too, baby. Mwah. Bye, everybody. Be cool. Bye, Brenda Mullen.